Hall & Wilcox acknowledges the traditional custodians of the lands on which this podcast is recorded. We pay our respects to their elders, past and present, and to all First Nations people joining us today.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cultural Inclusion Podcast. I'm Sheln Idowu, a partner at Hall & Wilcox, and I'm delighted to be your host for this new season. This series is called What's in a Name? We are chatting with a variety of guest stars within the legal fraternity about the meaning of their name, their journey into law, and everything wild and wonderful in between those topics. So whether you're listening from the office, out for a walk, on your commute, thank you very much for joining us. On today's episode, we have Siwa Matanis, an employment and workplace relations lawyer and practice group leader with HR Law in Brisbane. Thank you for speaking with us today, Siwa.
Thank you so much for speaking with me.
Am I even saying that right? Is it Siwa Matanis? Is that?
You got the Matanis right.
Okay, oh gosh.
Sewar is actually pronounced Sewar. So, yeah, but only a handful of people here in Australia know how to pronounce it, including my family members.
So Siwa Matanis. Okay, tell us about your name. What does it mean?
I am a Greek Orthodox Christian who was born in Israel and migrated to Australia 20 years ago. My name is actually an Arabic name, and it stands for a piece of jewelry that the ancient pharaohs, the ladies, used to wear on their arms. It's like that bracelet they used to wear around the arm. My mom was reading a book and she came across the name, and she was pregnant with me at the time and decided, you know what, I'm going to call this girl, and I was the eldest girl at the time, I'm going to call her Siwar. So that's the background to the story of my name and what it means.
Oh, that's wonderful. And thankfully, that's consistent with, as I was prepping for this episode, I was researching your name, and every website that I went to said it's an Arabic word, it means bracelet or bangle, and it's symbolic of adornment, beauty, and elegance. Yes. And for our listeners who don't have the benefit of video, they've only got audio, I can confirm that art is all of those things. So you've definitely lived up to your namesake.
Thank you. You are very kind.
How often do you have to correct people, do you think, a day or a week about how to pronounce your name?
On
do
a
you
daily
even bother?
Basis.
Daily basis.
Well, I only bother when they get it really wrong, like when you can't even identify it. But then sometimes I just let it go. Now that I've been here 20 years, I don't really care anymore.
So if it's so mangled, if it's something like Sonia, you might say it's actually Siwa.
Yeah. So sometimes people get it so wrong that it's not really anything close to my name. But if I'm going to order a coffee in a cafe, I'm not going to go there and teach the person there to pronounce and spell my name. So my coffee name is Sam. So much easier.
I get that, because you're already caffeine deprived, right? You don't want to spend 10 minutes saying
someone having to spell my name on the coffee cup. And I always wondered, why do you need to know my name? Just give me a number.
Yes, give me a number, please. Just like when you get a Woolies chicken and you take that number from the counter, they should have that sort of system. Yeah. So 20 years you said you've been here. Do you think it's getting better with people making an effort to ask you how to pronounce your name correctly, or taking that extra step of, how do you say it, or has it been about the same?
What I have noticed is that people are less surprised to hear a different name. So 20 years ago, it was like, oh, wow, where's this name? They all wanted to know my story, my heritage. And now there's not much of an interest. So I do not know whether it is because Australia is becoming more multicultural and people here are just getting used to people from other cultures coming in, having accents, having different names, different races in the workplace. So definitely the workplace has evolved a lot in the last 20 years as part of my observation. Like from perhaps 20 years being the only non-white person in a group to maybe now we have 4 out of 10 people who are migrants in a group. So I did notice a shift in the last 20
Mm.
years.
Do you think that's also because of the field of law that you're in? I imagine employment and workplace relations, you're somewhat at the coalface in terms of leading the charge of what is expected in the workplace, what is good practice in the workplace, good behaviour. Yes, or
I'm not sure whether that is the case because I do meet people in all aspects of life, not just by professionally in an office environment. So not necessarily everyone I meet will know that I'm an employment lawyer. I believe it's just Australians are now more open to other cultures. It's not as unusual to have someone with an unusual name, in my view.
Well, that's great. That's great. It takes some of the fatigue, I suppose, out of just a day-to-day basis of existing, where before you even start the conversation of what you're in the room for, from an employment perspective, at least, what your profession is, you're there to solve someone else's issue or dispute. And if you're spending the first 5 to 10 minutes going into the syntax of your name and how to pronounce it, and where's that accent from, and how long have you been here, so on and so forth, it becomes quite fatiguing.
It does actually. And sometimes it upsets me, especially if you have to justify where you came from. So people hear your accent, or where is the accent from? And then the background or the cultural background you have doesn't conform with someone's expectations. It can be a minefield sometimes, especially in the political situations that we're navigating at the moment. So I found that to be a pretty disturbing thing that I have to explain to everyone at the moment, which should never happen. But yeah, it can be fatiguing indeed.
But it's, from your experience, it is getting better slowly and steadily.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
How did you get into law, Sewa?
I was admitted as a lawyer back home, migrated when I was 25 years of age. Always wanted to be a lawyer, so decided that I will study law again in Australia. I was very committed to the job, so I got my overseas qualifications recognized. The first job I've ever secured in Australia was in the legal sector. So it was as an associate at the Queensland Industrial Relations Commission. So I was the associate to the vice president, and that was maybe only about 5 months into my presence in Australia. And that put me on the right trajectory for being an employment lawyer down the track. So it was just the stars are aligned, if I might say. I was very lucky.
Very
That's how
fortuitous.
I think so. I just don't know whether I do not know. I think God, and I'm a Christian, so I believe in God. I believe that God had a plan for me, and I got here and I managed to get my legal qualifications here and to path a way in the legal system, in the industrial relations system. And here I am 20 years later.
Wonderful. And you said you were a lawyer back home as well. Were you in employment law in Israel as well, or different field entirely?
I worked in a multidisciplinary law firm back home in Jerusalem. So employment law was only one aspect of the job. But before I actually worked in that law firm, I did work in an organization similar to legal aid, and I assisted foreign workers, as they call them in Israel, who are really skilled migrants in Australia. That I have always had a keen interest in employment law ever since I was young.
Very fortunate. We've been speaking to so many people in this season, and there's been a lot of stories of people stumbled into law, or they didn't really know what they were going to study, and they studied law as a combined degree and just found that they really loved it. But it sounds like you had a real calling from an early age to study law. Was that, do you think, partially, I mean, was that you? Was it familial expectations? Do you have any family? You're laughing because I think perhaps we've got a shared experience of, from my perspective, my parents had, I'm one of 6, and they had very clear ideas, not even ideas, directions, I would say, as to what type of careers my siblings and I would follow. And I remember suggesting quite boldly that I wanted to be an actress, and that was anathema. Is she nuts? Who is this kid? She's your daughter. No, she's your daughter. And they pushed me towards acting. Law is acting, is it not? You're in the courtroom, you're giving submissions. That's like a script. Acting, law, same. So was it familial for you as well?
Yes, to a great degree it was. In my culture, you are expected to study something that within a list of professions that your parents will approve of. So,
yes.
So I had a list of things that my parents would be happy with. So be law, medicine, psychology, pharmaceutical, anything like
Dentistry,
that, or even engineering.
Architecture. Oh my gosh, maybe we're long lost relatives, because I feel that this conversation is the exact same one that I've had with my parents. Yep.
Yeah, and in fact, I actually enrolled in my first year of uni back home. I enrolled into a double degree of psychology and law. And then I decided that I am more passionate about law than I was for psychology. I don't know whether that was the right decision to make back then, which is now 26 years ago.
26 years of being a lawyer.
Yeah. I was a student 26 years ago, so I was admitted in 2003, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to make a decision. I think, do I like this or that? Because I did not want to do a double degree anymore. So I dropped psychology and stuck with law, and here I am. But yeah, I was driven towards that profession from an early age. I think my father had a big of influence over what I wanted to be, because he had aspired to be a lawyer back then, but he wasn't able to secure high degrees to get into the law faculty. And he saw my success as his success. Yeah, I was convinced early on that I need to be a lawyer.
And have you inspired any siblings or extended family members where they might say, oh, Auntie Sewa is a lawyer in Australia, you could be like her, or anything like that?
If anything, I'm trying to encourage them not to study law because it's such a hard field. It is such a hard field. I've got a niece who turns 14 next month, and she started having those conversations. And I'm explaining to her a lot about industries, the different professions, and hopefully she will make her own independent views, although my sister is trying to influence her views because my sister came from the same culture, same environment. She studied psychology.
It's hard to change the soil that you're grown in, right? It's
hard.
very difficult, and you might have these preconceptions of I'll be different with my own children, and yet time and time again that sort of tendency perpetuates itself. At least finish the law degree, and then you can go off on a frolic and do whatever else you want to do as a side hustle. My mum said to me somewhat outrageously recently, Sheln, it's not too late. You could still be an actress. They need old actresses. And I was like, is that supposed to be supportive? I don't know. That's, Mum, please, it's done. The die is cast. Here I am. Do you think that the field that you work in, the particular area of law that you work in, and your life experiences in getting to the position you are in now in Brisbane, talk to us about if your name or a sense of identity, cultural expectations, and other external factors have played an influence into how you've introduced yourself professionally or how you've been perceived?
I have to admit that, yes, at times that impacted how I could introduce myself or how I perceived people viewed me. I don't know whether entirely I was right or not, but there's definitely some feelings I had about biases, just naturally having an accent. Unfortunately, people assume your English is not as good because you have an accent. Remember clear as day, I went to an interview in a law firm in my early career after having had a few years under my belt as being a lawyer. And then the recruiter asked me a question, and how do you think your English is in terms of being able to work as a lawyer? And I found that quite offensive. I said to him, thank you for your observation. Despite the fact that I have an accent, I believe that my English is exceptionally good. I studied it academically, even back home in university, something our students here don't have to do. And the fact that I have an accent does not mean that my English is not good.
Right.
It's proven by being in a position where I was even the manager of chambers to the vice president of the industrial court. So I found that question a bit offensive at the time. I don't know whether I was too sensitive about it, but that was an experience that I cannot forget.
You're not alone in that one. I know a number of people where just that conflation of an accent and fluency, that incorrect conflation of an accent and fluency in the English language is constantly erroneously made. Assumptions are made just from having an accent, and it is offensive. And it's frustrating as well, because it feels like before you even have a chance to advance your case or your position or your client's position, you're already on the back foot of having to demonstrate that you deserve to be in the same room.
Yes, indeed. That's how it felt. Yes. Sometimes I feel that is the case now. Just because I came from somewhere else doesn't mean that I don't have good experience or I'm not intelligent enough. And some people feel the need to have to speak very slowly and loudly. That's what
Also
really makes
offensive.
me. Yes. So I don't know whether they do it intentionally or not, but sometimes maybe they cannot understand my accent, so they're trying to slow the conversation down. So I learned not to take too much of offense to it, because I migrated to this country and I've always tried to learn and integrate. And yes, while I expect to be treated fairly and equally, sometimes I expect that some people might find it a bit different. And just that doesn't mean that I am not as good. It's just I am actually perhaps better.
You've had to develop a thick skin to deal with
Yes.
that, so that you don't become jaded about the situation. Have you ever been tempted to adopt a nickname, or other than your coffee order, adopt a nickname or anglicize your name in a workplace setting to try and sidestep those sorts of discussions or assumptions that might be made over email before someone even meets you?
The idea crossed my mind very early on, when that issue really disturbed me in the beginning. But then I thought, why should I change my name? I like my name. It's a name I was given by my mom and she cherishes it. And that's me, that's my identity. Why should I change it? So
That's right.
I'm never going to change it, just to make it a bit more convenient for others to be able to spell it or pronounce it. But yes, the idea did cross my mind.
Maybe if there was an English or an Aussie equivalently beautiful word for adornment, beauty, and elegance, maybe you would have been more tempted. Sewa seems to do it pretty neatly, so why change it? Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us, Sewa. It has been wonderful. I feel like we could talk for another half an hour easily. Who better than an employment lawyer, really, to discuss the everyday realities of cultural inclusion in the workplace and experiences that you've had and the roles that we can all play in creating more inclusive environments. Thank you so much for your time today. It's been great.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time as well.
And thank you to everyone for tuning in. If you have any questions or would like to be a guest or want to nominate, or dare I say, ambush someone into being a guest on a future episode, please get in touch. You can find out details at hallandwilcox.com.au or connect with us on LinkedIn. If you liked today's episode, please rate, review, or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks again, Sewa, and we'll catch you next time.
This podcast is not legal advice and should not be relied upon as such. You should always obtain legal advice about your specific circumstances.